Hello, I am Stephanie Tillman. Today is day 3 in the 5-step process to overcoming difficult chapters in your life. Kind of talking through the process of me going from an award-winning design firm to closing the doors and walking you through what God did with all of that mess and how He turned it into something really beautiful. So the first day we talked about reality. And that is the step where you just look in the mirror and it's you and God and you take ownership for everything. Um, no excuses, no blame. And then the next day we talked about realign, and that's where you need a little bit of vision. You need to kind of reflect on how you got to this place and what vision you have for moving forward. But today, step 3 is actually kind of a tough one for a lot of us. It's about renewing, and especially when very difficult things happen in your life, we think that we have to just fix, 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 fix. Um, when I had to close the doors to the company, the smart thing would have been for me to run into a mode of making money um, and trying to fix the problem, because not only were we going into debt before the company closed, but when we closed the doors to the company, there was even more debt. We had contracts with vendors and stuff like that, so there was still a lot that had to get done. Um, Now, not only were we not operating as a business, nor was I not working, it kind of could have been a place of a lot of fear and a lot of frustration. It's definitely a place that not very many people would understand where I went to next. So we talked about the first step was reality. The second step for me was realigning, and that was when I was getting ready to start a project called Storytellers by Icros, which was about branding people's stories. And that was supposed to be happening on May 23rd of 2011. Well, God had different plans, and I had already kind of started step 3, which is renewing, and kind of started this dance with it's taking a lot to close down the company and switch everything over, and I've got a plan for the next phase. But man, today I just need to rest, so I'm going to give myself permission to lay on the couch and watch a movie. I'm going to give myself permission to go to the diner and just hang out without my computer and without my books, and just kind of renew my spirit, because I was really exhausted at that time. The company had taken a lot out of me in the few years before, and especially the few months before. So here is a verse in Romans that I'm going to read, and it's out of Romans 12. And it says, so here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you could do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit in without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings out the best of you, developing well formed maturity in you. I'm speaking to you out of deep gratitude for all that God has given me, and especially as I have responsibilities in relation to you. Living then, as every one of you does, in pure grace, it is important that you not misinterpret yourselves as people who are bringing this goodness to God. No, God brings it all to you. The only accurate way to understand ourselves is by what God is and by what He does for us, not by what we are and what we do for Him. So, in that kind of dance of learning who you are and what God actually expects of you, and it takes time. So, if you jump too quickly into fixing the problem, there's going to be a whole lot of you in it, and there's not necessarily going to be as much of God in it. So this third step that I went through lasted for about, I would say probably about 6 months. And from the time that I went down to Joplin and started talking to the people and started doing the ministry that God had asked me to do down there, which made 0 sense. Not only did I not have funding for the ministry, not only was I not making money after I just shut my company down when I should have been working, I was now walking into the middle of a disaster zone, which I knew nothing about, and serving people when I was broken at that time. But what it did was it began to renew my spirit, and it began to change something inside of me. Um, I wasn't helping others to help myself, but I was healing my heart while I was helping others. Um, the renewal phase is really, really hard. There are things that start falling down around you. It seems like the only solid ground that I was standing on was right the ground that was exactly under my feet because everything around me was shaking. Um, our family finances were, I mean, there wasn't anything. The company was our family finances. The business finances, the debt was just getting bigger by shutting the doors. I spent 6 months in Joplin, the first 3 months, pretty consistently, just down in the disaster zone after the May 22nd tornado. The second 3 months after the tornado had happened, God rebirthed something in me, and He had asked me to kind of switch directions. And the way He asked me to do that was a really wonderful woman named Tammy had reached out to me and said, my son, Zachary, who was 12 years old, passed away in the tornado. And he's still very real to me, but people don't know how to talk to me about him. I heard about your Hope shirts. Can I have one of those shirts so that I can write his memory on the back of it and I can share that memory with others? So we drove down to Joplin the next day and took her a Hope shirt and just kind of listened to those memories. Well, on my way down, I called a woman named Darla who actually had her own life tornado about 3 years before where she had an attempted suicide. Well, are the two things related at all? No. But what I knew was that if Tammy needed somebody to talk to, I'm in Kansas City, which is 2.5 hours away. She needed somebody a little bit closer that could reach out to her. I didn't really know Darla very well. I think I'd only maybe talked to her one time. But the three of us came together for lunch. And when we walked out, Darla kind of looked at me and said, I don't know how much I can help. I'm really only this far ahead of where she is. And I looked at Darla and I said, well, that's as far as you need to be. And that one statement, that moment, has triggered this beautiful backwards kind of healing process that the Lord has started to create with the Hope Station. It was nothing that I could have planned, and if I would have tried to fix things really quickly from the beginning versus just walking and renewing and walking and renewing, it would definitely wouldn't have turned out as beautiful. So over the last 4 months, the Hope Station has turned into a place where we're loving on who's supposed to be the most broken of the most broken, those that have lost loved ones, those that have experienced very, very tragic life tornadoes, whether they were the Joplin tornado or not. And these are our volunteers. These are the ones that are going out helping to heal the hearts of others. They're not totally fixed. They're not like 10 years out of their homeless situation like I am. They're right in the middle of their brokenness. And in the middle of their brokenness, they're reaching out and helping to heal others. What's happening is this beautiful thing where Carrie, who lost her husband Moses and her daughter Ariana in the Joplin tornado, will go out and she'll have written something on the back of one of her Hope shirts that talks about her tragedy. Somebody will come up to her and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry. They think that they're going to counsel Carrie. And Carrie starts actually talking to them about the blessings of God and the goodness of how He's walked them through this. And all of a sudden, that person that walked up to Carrie to console her is now opening up and sharing a difficult chapter of their life. And somehow, because they see Carrie getting through her very, very fresh wound with the Lord, it starts to heal something in this person. We're turning around the standard of who helps who. We are now helping very, very broken people, including myself. You know, all of us that are at the Hope Station are broken people. We have to be broken in order to understand this healing process. It's very broken people reaching out and helping who should be less broken people. But the reality of it is brokenness and is brokenness, and pain is pain, hurt is hurt, loss is loss. Whether you lost one person or 5 people, whether you've lost a house and a home and a lifestyle and living in a homeless shelter, or whether it is the loss of a kidney. And, you know, loss is loss and pain is pain, and somehow everybody understands that. So for me, the third step became this beautiful opportunity for me to get to know myself. Instead of rushing to fix a problem or doing what I thought I should have done next or being focused on making money, I just kept walking ahead and doing this dance of God with, what is it that you want me to learn today, and where is it that you want me to go? And I'm not going to try and make my own plans today. So I just kind of rested in His arms. It was a hard time being in Joplin for the last 7 months. has been mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and most definitely financially draining. But in this tornado and in this moment that looked like pure chaos in my life and pure chaos in the lives of all of those around us, um, I found myself. I have found 100% of who Stephanie Tillman was created to be. Um, I understand that my personality is a strong personality, and it's good for me to go in and love on people really, really hard for a few moments in time, um, and just equip them with some of the tools that God has given me to helping them share the difficult chapters of their life. Throughout the last 7 months, we've now distributed over 5,000 Hope shirts, all with different messages of hope on the back. All my shirts are backwards because I'm using my computer camera, but you can see I wrote something different on the back of my one today. You might not have been able to read it, but it's actually about real men and how hard marriage is sometimes. But what makes my husband a real man is that we've been married for almost 10 years now. We've been together for almost 14. And we've been through just about everything. We've been through racial barriers. We've been through alcoholism and addiction and homelessness and debt and every single thing in between. But the thing that makes my husband a real man is that he never gives up. And I can be a pretty hard one to handle sometimes. So, but the chapters that have come out of this are so diverse. They're from what a real man is to bulimia and storm stories and lost stories and depression and suicide and alcoholism and people that are looking for jobs. And the chapters just never stop. So I'm really, really thankful that I didn't just jump into fixing the situation and I didn't just go looking for a new income to replace the income that I had lost. By just trusting in the Lord, resting in His hands, and allowing Him to renew my spirit, my mind, my heart, and my strength. I just turned 36 years old yesterday, and I know who I am. I know what I was created for. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a lot of time and a lot of reflection to get to this place. Tomorrow, I am going to talk about rebuilding. It's step 4. We've been through facing reality, realigning, renewing, and now we're going to talk about rebuilding. Most people think that rebuilding comes at the very beginning, but it doesn't. If you don't renew yourself, you're not going to have the strength to rebuild. You may be rebuilding your own temple and not God's temple because you haven't paused long enough to see what it is that He wants you to do. And the 5th step is going to be about revealing it, and I'm kind of already doing that through these videos. But even some things that are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks are going to reveal the end of this very amazing chapter in my life. I don't even know how it's going to all come together yet. But there's some really interesting things on the table. You could be praying for me, praying for the Hope Station, praying for chapters. Just pray for the project. We have some really, really great opportunities for God to have some national visibility in all of this. If you're interested in learning more about my story of homelessness and alcoholism and addiction, you can go to the Vimeo page where this video is at. You can also go to ikros.com. That's ikros.com. If you want to find out how you can get connected to the Hope Station and how you too can get involved with spreading hope through these shirts and through random acts of kindness, you can go to www.whatsyourchapter.com. Click on any of the tabs. I can't even remember what it is right now, but maybe Sponsor Hope is what it is. You can also purchase chapter shirts online for friends and loved ones. Connect to us on our Facebook page. You'll see some great stories come out. We just saw another shirt come through yesterday. And you can get to us there at facebook.com/The Hope Station. Spread the message, spread the word, especially spread the first video about me closing the doors to my company. I've heard from a lot of people who are really struggling right now with their organizations, and they feel like they're all alone. So if me sharing this chapter of my life will help them in some way, please pass it on. let's make God viral. See you tomorrow.